Faces of Abortion is the only television program of its kind that shows the powerful, real-life stories of women, men, and families who have suffered the devastation of abortion. Faces of Abortion touches hearts and changes lives in over 125 nations. Faces of Abortion is a program that will help you with healing from the heart and hope for the future. You will be given practical steps for healing in your life and help to end the suffering of abortion.
So it just overwhelmed me. And I thought the only way to escape the pain was to take my life.
I had a fear that I wouldn't be able to have my own children.
It brings heartache. It brings hurt.
And I knew they were tearing my baby apart.
I remember the cold feeling of the room.
I remember laying there and I just said to myself that I will never forgive myself for what I'm doing.
I believe that my life was spared that night just so that I could be here right now and say abortion hurts women.
Whisper, be silent no more.
Welcome to Faces of Abortion. I'm your host, Cindy Collins, and again today I am with the president of the Justice Foundation and our co-host, Alan Parker, and Clayton Trotter, who is our co-host and general counsel of the Justice Foundation. Just so great to be with you again today as we have some very special guests that our viewers are really going to be enjoying. Their hearts are going to be touched.
Yes, we're going to hear about the abortions of Fran and Sheila and the recovery that they've also gone through as well.
That's right, Alan. And now let's go ahead and hear in her own words Sheila's story.
Hi, I'm Sheila from Texas, and I had my first abortion at 19 years old. I found myself pregnant a week after my storybook romance and my fairy tale wedding. Came home, I'd been on the pill, told my husband I was pregnant, and he wouldn't have anything to do with it. He was adamant that it was too early, we weren't going to have kids this early, we had everything planned out. He flew into a rage. I was in shock, but I agreed to go along with what he told me he would take care of everything. So a week later, 2 weeks after my wedding, I found myself on an abortion table, allowing my child to be murdered. From that point on, we really didn't talk about it. I found out later he had taken 2 other previous girlfriends to get abortions. I continued in college for about 6 months. I was in a nursing program, and I ended up quitting 6 months before my graduation. And my husband and I divorced about 6 months later, so within a year we were divorced. From that point on, I became very angry. I started drinking. Moved out of the area, tried to start a new life, got involved with an older man, became pregnant after a few months, and I was adamant I was not going to abort that child. So we got married, and I had my son. And then about a year later, got pregnant with my daughter and had her. When she was 9 months old, I found out I was pregnant, and that at this time my husband was like, what are we? We are looking like white trash to people. He worked in the motion picture industry, and he was just like, this is embarrassing. We can't have this baby. So I sucked it up, didn't really respond. I was, confused, and I went and talked to my friend and said, I'm pregnant, I can't believe it. And she's like, don't worry, I'll help you. So she had called an abortion clinic and made an appointment for me to go in for my second abortion. I went in there, they had given me a Valium to relax me, went through the procedure, and as soon as I was done, they put me in a room full of other girls who were recovering, and the room was just full of crying and weeping, and I went into a rage, yelling at all of the girls, why are you crying? And I just I just went off on them and said, did you think this was going to be fun? And just give me my clothes and get me out of here. And so I'm sure they could hear my screaming in the front. And so they gave me my clothes and whisked me out the back door. And so I went home, and then 2 weeks later, I was still throwing up and feeling pregnant. So I called them and I said, you know, I'm still feeling pregnant and I'm throwing up. And they had me come back in and they did a pregnancy test and I was still pregnant. So I had to go through another abortion. And again, I flew into a rage. They remembered, oh yeah, this is the lady that screams at everybody. So they immediately sent me out the back door also. I drove myself home. Me and my husband never talked about it, but within a year we were divorced. I went on to have one more abortion after that. And only by the grace of God did I meet some women at my church. We were all doing a women's retreat planning, and God kept bringing it up that, you know, about this abortion, and I knew He had forgiven me. I'd asked for forgiveness. And I just threw it out there to these other 8 women. I said, you know, I've had an abortion. Has anybody else in the room had an abortion? And my friend Fran said, yes, I've had an abortion, and gave a child up for adoption. And out of the 8 women, 7 had experienced abortion. And 1 had taken someone to get an abortion and always had felt very guilty about that. So between those 8 women, we started our first a Bible study and healing group that we went on to do for 2 years, and the floodgates opened. The other women at the church just came forward one after the other and also received their healing. So my message is to married couples out there that if you think that somehow abortion is going to help your marriage or you can't handle one more child, just don't do it. I found out afterwards that 75% of marriages end after there is an abortion, and I just believe that that's not God's plan for any marriage and anywhere. So just don't do it. That's my message. Don't do it.
Just don't do it. Those were the words that Sheila said as you heard her story. Just don't do it. And we feel that that is a plea to you today as you may be watching Faces of Abortion and contemplating what you're going to do in your decision for a crisis pregnancy. We want to encourage you to call your local crisis pregnancy center or to go visit our website, operationoutcry.org. Also, Alan and Clayton, I saw a recurring theme of Sheila wanting the support of her husband. And we see many times women who have had abortions, we hear stories that they may be single women, but here was a woman, a young woman, who was joyful about her pregnancy, but she was also looking for that support of her husband.
Right. I think her story reveals the lie or the stereotype about a lot of abortion, that it's single woman, young, can't take care of the child, but this couple could have taken care of the child. She was very happy about it,
Yes.
and it was the husband who made the choice, not the woman's choice to have this abortion. And yet the devastation comes into her life, and it doesn't save the marriage, and that's so common. So,
well, and now you think, I mean, so many times you think of a crisis pregnancy being a woman who's not married, who becomes pregnant. But the reality is that what a legalized abortion does in our country is it drives a wedge between men and women.
yes.
And it